Hello, my name is Barry William Maglidity, your host of this episode of the Freedom Series live stream session. And today I've got Ronan Leonard on the phone, on the call from lockdown in Victoria, Melbourne. Mate, how you doing today?
Very well, thanks. Well, today is either yesterday, today, or tomorrow, right? There are no weekends. It's just one of those 3 days. It's like deja vu all over again.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I guess super excited for us to chat today. And we're going to chat so Ronan's a co-founder of a disruptive management consulting company that helps organizations get a 3 to 7 times increase in engagement by identifying the unmet needs of their customers. And what I'd like us to kind of dive into a little bit today is talk about the hypernormalization of low engagement due to mass communication tools, which have sacrificed efficiency for relevancy. And before we do, I'd like to just extend a warm welcome to everyone who's watching us live, wherever you are in the world, whatever platform you're on. Welcome to the show. Rafi from my team. Hey, Rafi, how you doing, mate? He's out there overseeing all your comments and questions. So let's make this as, I guess, as conversational as possible. So any questions you've got for myself or Ronan, please put them in the chat of wherever you're watching this, and we'll get them answered here. Hit the like button. Let us know that you're watching. And also, why not start a watch party and share it across your feed to other business owners and entrepreneurs as well. So Ronan, let's talk a little bit about the hypernormalization. Where do we kick off with this?
We probably kick off in the fact that everybody would agree that it's costing them far more to reach fewer people on just about every social media platform.
Absolutely.
So what they tend to do is just produce more content. Gary Vee's telling small business owners to film the day in the life and chop up all this content. Everything. Let's be honest, who's going to watch it? If you haven't already built a following of people across these social media platforms, just pushing more content out there isn't going to get you more engagement. So there's a couple of things within that. First off, we as I said, communication tools become the norm. So everyone builds a funnel, everybody creates a piece of content and pushes it out to 4 or 5 platforms at the same time, and we exponentially are creating more and more content, but with fewer and fewer engagement. At the same time, we're kind of waving the white flag and going, okay, well, if my conversion rate's only 3%, then I've just got to put more people into a funnel and then another 100 people in to get my 3 people to come out of that. Yeah. Without ever really addressing the root cause of that, which is you probably don't know your customers well enough. You don't know what they're thinking. You don't know their unmet needs. You don't know what they're really worried or concerned about, their beliefs and their concerns. And therefore, you just think, well, it's okay. There's a never-ending stream of customers out there, which is fine for a very small business, right? If you've got a very small business and you've got a huge target market, that's not a problem. But you reach this point where you've saturated the market. Everyone's either heard of you and not interested, because again, you don't know what they're really interested in, or as I said, it just gets more and more expensive to put people into that funnel or your marketing sequence. So, would you agree with that, Barry? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and we're seeing, like, obviously Google platform's quite expensive to advertise on, but you're speaking to a target audience. If you look at Eugene Schwartz's 5 levels awareness, you go from unaware through to problem aware, solution aware, product aware, most aware. You're speaking to someone on Google if you're advertising there who's product or most aware. So therefore, you are paying more for a click or for a lead, but you're also speaking to a more qualified buyer. Now, the problem with that is that you are competing against other companies like for like, or perceivably like for like. Whereas advertising on social platforms like Facebook or Instagram, where people aren't going there to look up your product or service, if you're able to present a piece of content or an ad or a funnel, something that buys their attention, you can get a much cheaper click because you're reaching someone who's either at like problem or solution aware, and you've got a chance of influencing them more. But I think you're right, because I see many business owners entrepreneurs start with going after a mass target market. Now, in the beginning, it's okay. They're trying to be everything to everyone, and they're trying to find like message to market fit. Yet there does become a point in the business where that needs to change. And this is where I see a challenge that a lot of entrepreneurs face, is they're too rigid in their approach to growing business. It's like they start off doing something and they get some form of result. So they keep just doing all that same stuff without ever challenging whether or not what they're doing is effective. And as you said, it's like they produce content, but do they have the metrics in place to measure which piece of content is actually piquing the curiosity of their audience? which piece of content is actually getting the opt-ins, which ads are getting the opt-ins. Like a lot of business owners aren't going that degree of testing and measuring. So how can their engagement be top rate? Because they're not doing the research in the first place.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true. And there's another point to that as well. Another layer to that is that once you are doing something that works to a certain percentage, I call this the double loop strategy, is the fact that when something doesn't work, you just go back to the top and you start again. You say, okay, what's a different tactic? What's a different strategy? But a double loop strategy is that you look beyond that and you look at above that. Okay, what are the assumptions that I made, and now that I'm not testing and I'm just staying within that box? Okay, my marketing isn't working. I need more leads, so my market isn't working. I hire a different marketer. I try a different tactic. When quite possibly the real root cause of that problem is something far more unseen. It could be the fact that your whole brand isn't resonating with people, that your service isn't good enough, that people aren't shouting about you and recommending you to people. There's a whole myriad of reasons why, but no one really bothers with that. They just go, okay, well, I just need to hire a different marketer, or I just need to get a different funnel, or I need to change the ad. So they're not really looking for the root cause of the problem. They're just treating the symptoms, and the symptoms is, I don't have enough sales.
Yeah. We look at the difference between like a shotgun and a sniper rifle. You know, like a shotgun has the ability to have a large spray, but at a very short distance. And that's what I see happens a lot, is that people go on and with this shotgun approach, let's throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks, as opposed to the sniper who's trained in their skill set, but they can hit a target 1 kilometer away, 2 kilometers away, you know, with pinpoint accuracy. And I guess that's the difference, is that I think it comes down to a little bit the mindset. Like there's a sense of like, if I was to target my ideal audience, like people would be missing out, or there's not enough business out there for me to target my ideal audience. What do you think stops people from kind of dialing right down and getting clear on that message to market match?
I think a big part of it is the mass communication tools that we touched on at the start. It's far easier for you to not have to speak to people than build a funnel and go, I never need to speak to a customer again. Isn't this amazing? But the whole point of business is that you're in business to solve a problem, right? And the bigger the problem, the more people will pay. So if you're not speaking to these people on a regular basis, interacting and finding out that you haven't quite matched their unmet needs, and they're buying because it's just on price, or you are, you know, you're in that red ocean with everybody else, and there's an opportunity to go further and deeper, create more value, create more trust, but you're never going to get that if you never ever speak to them. All you're doing is trying to second guess and come up with a message or an idea that speaks to that audience, and that's really hard to do. Now, the best marketers do it really well. Everyone else sucks at it.
Yeah, I don't know, like, do they though? Like, I think a lot of marketers are great at marketing their own business because they understand the fundamental principles. But I think often when it comes to marketing other people's businesses, it takes a lot of time, because often the business owner doesn't even know who their market is. So now the marketing agency doesn't just have to interview the business owner, they've got to interview the business owner's clients to try to really understand who they're speaking to. If you're joining us live on any of the platforms, welcome. So grateful you're here. Please put your comments and questions below for Ronan and myself. We'll get them answered for you guys. And hit the like button. Let us know that you're watching. I think there's going to be a reversal, though. I think we're already starting to see it. You know, we've gone through this era where content is king. But as you mentioned, like, we're getting to a point where the market's becoming saturated. It's become super easy for us to create mass amounts of content through the use of software tools, through the use of VAs and so forth, virtual assistants, that we're now seeing that ad costs are going up, saturation's going down, and it's causing us to once again go back to the drawing board, innovate and think differently.
Yeah, exactly. The stat I read last year, 4,600. If you've got a Facebook page, a business page, you get one interaction for 4,600 people that are connected to that page. That's a shocking statistic. So yes, different tactics, and to me, it's finding the unmet needs. It's getting deeper and closer to your customers as possible, and asking some of those uncomfortable questions. Well, what would it take for you to recommend me to someone else? Or, you know, what would it take for you to buy more from me? What are those? Where are the lowest hanging fruit within that? And you can't get that without actually being closer to your customer. And we're in a time now, obviously, where just about every market, some of them have gone up, majority have gone down. Every single customer on the planet has a different mindset than they had 3 or 4 months ago, where they are fearful about jobs, family, what's happening in the future. So if you're not able to get closer to that, to your prospects and your customers and better understand them where that shift has happened, then eventually that's what happens to businesses, that they don't stay in touch with their market, and their market leaves them for a better offer or someone who gets them.
Or someone who's more progressive in their approach. Like some of the best businesses and CEOs that I've met are actively, like that's one of their core responsibilities, is speaking to their people constantly. Speak to their customers, understand their customers' needs, their desires, where things are being unmet. And I guess that's what builds great businesses as well. Like we had Ray Blakely on the live stream series early on. And he kind of shared there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's the entrepreneur that like creates the future out of nothing, the kind of Elon Musks and Steve Jobs, people like that. But then there's the entrepreneur that just looks for the unmet needs in the market. Yeah. Like, where's there a current problem in the market that no one's meeting the need of, and they create a solution for that.
Yeah, Ray has the business where he does Spanish, teaches Spanish. Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Yeah, and you're right. See, everybody on social media uses the same example of Henry Ford. Is that, what if I asked my audience what they want, they would have said faster horses, right? That's a disruption model. Most people aren't necessarily a disruption model. They're in a Me Too business. They haven't reinvented, as you said, like Elon Musk. Everyone else is really just saying, okay, where in this market is the unmet need? A great example is something as simple as ubiquitous as coffee, right? Everybody wants takeaway coffee. What they do is they go up and they sign up, they go into somewhere and they wait around for 4 or 5 minutes while the barista makes them a coffee. Now, there's an unmet need there in the fact that nobody wants to wait that 4 or 5 minutes. So if you can create, and there are some apps out there, if you can say, well, if I'm 2 minutes away and I order it in, I get there and I pick it up and I get to the train station, awesome, right? I'm going with that cafe instead of the 4 that are around that, where I know I've got to stand there and wait and hang on my phone and go, and this is an unmet need. So yeah, absolutely, all the time. And that ties into hyper-normalization of people just not getting what you do and why you're different, and valuing that, because you're not really tapping into the unmet needs. Oh my God, Barry and his company really get me. They truly get me. They're talking my language. I understand the beliefs and the concerns that I have are being met by this company and this person, this brand.
Yeah. And there's a difference between like generating leads and generating clients as well. You can generate hundreds of leads every week, but are those leads an ideal fit for what you're offering? Right? Just because they opt in doesn't mean they're going to convert to a client. That's wasted money. It's an inefficiency. You've got a bunch of questions coming in. If you're joining us live, welcome. Please post your questions and comments below. Myself and Ronan are going to answer for you. Question here from Harris from Perth. Question from Ronan. When it comes to building mastermind groups in different cities and countries, have you noticed any unique differences in terms of challenges and opportunities that they have?
The challenge is the timing. So that's one. The other one, though, is there's also an opportunity for that. It's the fact that you get Americans are far more gung-ho. Australians, we're quite reserved. I'm also from Britain. We're very reserved. So there are subtle nuances. Also, Australians, as much as they might think they're innovators, most things happen in the States, and then 4 or 5 years later, Australia are doing that. So there's the opportunity to network outside of your peers, the PLUs, people like us that all talk the same, all read the same blogs, all went to the same school, or follow the same people. You have that opportunity for that real diversity. So the plus and minuses, currency exchange is a downside, US versus Australia. So there's plenty of pros and cons, but overall, the more diverse group of people you get, the more better results you get, because you're just getting somebody else that's challenging your assumptions and your biases. Yeah.
Do you notice there's any differences in the types of challenges that the business owners have or mastermind people have in different countries?
I don't think so. The challenges are really, everyone has the same challenge. How do I turn all of this content out there and apply it to myself? How do I get some context around what does that mean to me? What's specific about that? Because we all know that information is free, right? We're flooded with it. We talked about earlier about how much content's out there. So we're not short of content, but we're starving of the context. How does that apply to me? My business is different. I don't quite understand that. So that's universal, is your ability to find the right person and the right people around you that give you that context, that allow you to see things differently than you hadn't before. To me, that is where the value is in any kind of coach, mentor, expert that you pay for. That's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that they're going to give you the right context to allow you to apply that information in the right way.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just wrapped up our members event last week, and one of the favorite sessions they have is when we break them into smaller groups, what we call tribal council. They get an opportunity to converse with one another and help each other solve their problems. And it's interesting that, you put a bunch of business owners together and they've all got different businesses, they've all got different upbringings, experiences, but the transformation is very, very impactful because often it's just a perspective twist that makes a change. We have problems because number one, we actually perceive them as problems first and foremost. So we label them, which brings a lot of negative connotations there. We kind of almost build them in a box inside of our mind, which prevents us from seeing opportunities or experiencing opportunities outside of that. And so having people around you that can challenge your thoughts and your concepts as you shared can be a huge opportunity for them to obviously see things differently, but have that resolved as well. We've got a question here from Kevin from Sydney. What are Ronan's usual go-to digital marketing and automation tools when launching digital marketing projects?
In some ways, I'm actually anti-tools. Having said that, we do attach artificial intelligence to beliefs and concerns to measure that. To me, the tools and the tactics come in and out of fashion. They get satirized, they get used. I saw something recently from Seth Godin that just said that so many people that are in the funnel business and the get this upsell and buy this, they're not around 4 or 5 years later because they just churn and burn and the market moves and it's no longer relevant.
Yeah.
So there isn't one that would work for that. Depending on your business, this is a general thing, is find ways to get it, as we talked about earlier, get as close to your customer as possible.
Yeah.
And then scale up with a tool that makes that easy for you.
Yeah. Good point. Some tools that we use here, we recommend, like obviously ClickFunnels, building funnels and landing pages. Like we've used a bunch, but I just find it to be super, super easy to build funnels. And, there's a bunch of pre-made templates. It's very easy to use, very easy to connect in. Active campaign for email automation, but also we can do a lot of different automations that trigger certain actions in the business within my team as well. And then Zapier, you can't go past Zapier to connect multiple platforms together.
Yeah.
As well. What I often say there with anything is to first kind of work it out on paper or work it out on a whiteboard, what you want to create before you go and try to find tools, because it's very easy to go, oh, we just need a CRM and find a CRM, but you get a year down the track after using it and implementing all your data into it to find that it doesn't actually do what you need. So I think first and foremost, like understand, again, similar principles to your clients, like understand what you need as a business, like what problem you're trying to solve, to then understand what solution you can apply to that problem.
Yeah. All digital, anything that you apply digital to your business should increase trust with your clients and your audience and in your prospects. Anything else that makes it harder for them and it just decreases trust. So we all go, oh, what's the greatest technology? Okay, that's great. Put them into a CRM only to find out that they've got to do all these extra clicks. Install a great phone system and only to find out that every message says, we experience a higher volume of calls, which just, that's the third time you've had that call, you go, okay, well, I know you're lying to me. The technology you've put in there is decreasing trust with your prospects and your customers. So any technology really needs to do that one thing. Does this enhance and increase trust with my customers? And if not, eventually it's going to lead to churn and people leaving because they're dissatisfied with the box and the technology that you've forced them to communicate with.
Yeah, it's a good point. I want to circle back to, in a second, there's a couple more questions here. I want to circle back to an earlier point where we started talking about conversion rates and measuring KPIs and things. Before I do though, Kevin from Sydney, what are your favorite business cases that would make mastermind groups really effective?
Business cases?
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand the question. What is his favorite business cases that make mastermind groups really effective? Let's talk about what makes an effective mastermind.
You talked about earlier about labeling something a problem and then it being seen as a negative. Right? I think it's only when you get into a real group of people, of peers, and you're surrounded by people and you figure out no one's got their shit together, right? No one's got it all figured out. Our mutual friend Charlie Vallow, a couple of years ago, he said to me, he said, "Look, if 80% of business going under, you've got to assume that 80% of people don't know what they're doing, right? And if you come and you come with that prism, you start to go, okay, well, I haven't got it all figured out, and you let go of the ego, and you go, let me surround myself with people that know what I don't know, that can help me with that." So it's detaching some of the ego to be in that group, and also having the willingness to genuinely help other people and see them succeed, because that comes back twofold. So you have to have that. I see it as you have to have that openness and genuinely enjoy helping other people solve their problems within that group, and then you create that spirit where people will go the extra mile for you, will help you out, will recommend or get you to that point where you're stuck and past that.
That ties in very beautifully to the beginning of the conversation, though, when it comes to like marketing and content creation, things like that. I think that, we need to be intentional with what we're doing. Like if I'm going to invest 5 minutes of my time or half an hour of my time, an hour of my time, like for what purpose? And what's the ROI in that? Is this providing me some level of fulfillment or fun or enjoyment? Is it providing me with a financial return? Is it providing me with some sense of inspiration? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? So it's the same with the mastermind, like showing up there and being intentional with the way that you show up, the way that you support others. But marketing your business is the same. Like, are you creating content? Are you putting out campaigns that actually help make your clients or your prospects' lives easier, more fulfilling? Or are you just doing it because Gary Vee or someone else has said, hey, you need to produce 52 bits of content a week to be successful in business?
Yeah. I mean, I've got a quite contrarian view about customers. I actually think they're a scarce resource, and you should be treated as such. And this ties into the first part about hypernormalization and mass communication tools. Everyone wants to find a way to send out as much information to everybody as possible and get people into all these funnels and everything. But to me, great customers are a scarce resource. They're thin on the ground. So if you want really valuable, high-paying, amazing customers that are going to stay with you, you've got to treat them as a scarce resource, not, oh, it's all right, I'll just put another 100 people through the funnel. It doesn't matter. Should be right. There's more people out there. And when you have that attitude, you start to service them better. They see the difference. You create greater amounts of trust. They're more likely to recommend you, more likely to stay with you longer, more likely to buy more from you. So if you just treat customers as a scarce resource instead of just this finite amount of they're all out there, there's millions of them, your business will grow exponentially. Yeah.
I guess it comes from a shift in perspective too. It's like, are we going out there to focus on finding as many prospects as possible, or are we going out there to convert as many as possible? I guess that's the thing as well. Like I talk a bit about in the book, there's a section there that I talk about in KPIs around the 5 ways to grow a business, through acquiring leads, conversion, average sale, lifetime value, and profitability. And most business owners that we meet are like, oh, I've got a leads problem, I need more leads. Whereas when you run their numbers through, you realize that leads are often the last thing they'd be focusing on for a couple of reasons. Number one is because they haven't got a leads problem. There's a bigger hole in their funnel, in their bucket somewhere. Yeah. But number two, to acquire more leads generally costs more money. So it's more beneficial and advantageous to focus on improving your conversion rate, improving the average sale, improving the time in which they're going to stay with you, doing business with you and transact with you, and improving profitability before leads. Because if you can go and increase those areas, even by 5 to 10%, you then go and spend money to acquire more clients, your whole business starts to grow exponentially because you're generating so much more traction off that lead that if you focus on that, why there's bigger holes in the bucket.
Yeah, and that ties into the double loop strategy I was talking about. Is your problem is not necessarily the root cause of something; it's just a symptom. I need more leads. Our symptom is my business isn't growing. So you go, well, you jump to the first easiest one. I just need more leads. Actually, no, there's far more pieces to the pie for that to work. So yeah, you're spot on.
Yeah. What do you reckon the biggest challenges entrepreneurs face in the coming years then with this oversaturation of content, mass communication, so forth?
I would say it's still the same issue that everyone's facing, is that can you validate your idea or your business and grow it to a point that it's successful, however you want to define that, before you kind of reach burnout. Because so many businesses predominantly stop because they just run out of energy. They probably call it a zombie business. You might turn over 80, 100, 120,000, whatever success looks like to you, but you're doing it at such a toll on your mental capacity as well as maybe your physical capacity, and you never reach that next level of, okay, I can reinvest in more systems, VAs, something else that can take to that next level. And again, looking at those early things, profitability and what's my ideal customer? Am I attracting them at the moment? Do I find more of amazing customers that love my work, and which means I've got to get better at what I do. So it's that tipping point of a couple of years in and going, okay, I'd love to spend more time with my customers. I'd love to service them more. I'd love to give them more value, but I can't because I'm stuck in this trap. So I think it's that fulcrum and getting that past that tipping point. I see that as the hardest part for people.
Yeah. What was kind of coming up for me as you're sharing that is, like, do we as business owners, do we as entrepreneurs actually know what we want? And is what we want, or is it our perception of what we perceive we need to feel like we belong, to feel like we're successful, to feel like we fit in?
Yeah, and that's something that transforms. So we work with mid-cap organizations where they've kind of reached that point. Entrepreneur, has scaled this business, it's reached a certain level, and then they finally realize as they attain all the monetary things that they're told makes them successful, that they stop and go, actually, it doesn't fulfill me. My employees aren't happy, or my customers happy, or my vision of what I really want, an impact I want to achieve, isn't there, because they've been sold and they've bought into this dream of, this is what I need to be successful, or this is what the expectation is of a successful business looks like. And scaling and growing more revenue for the sake of it isn't always the right move. If you can be content, or success looks like to you that I've got 20 amazing clients and I work 30 hours a week. I got a friend here in Melbourne that does that. He's got, I don't work past 30 hours. I won't do that. And even that 30 hours is a bit similar to you. Someone else is doing the majority of the work. These are just coffee chats and meeting other people and doing stuff. That's successful looks like to him. He doesn't need 5 more clients because he's defined what success looks like for him, which is 30 hours a week. And he might go down to 22. He might just do 3 days a week. So he's very, very clear, because similar to you and Charlie that we talked about, he's been on the other end where he's built a business and done 100 odd hours, 80 hours, been in debt, trying to scale it, doing all of those things and trying to run a business that he thinks that he should have had. I need to realize, well, that I didn't have any fun doing that. Let me find a business that works for me.
Yeah, like I've said it probably, I think, past live streams, but Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, was a bit of an aha for me when I was reading a section there. It's like, are your goals actually your goals? And I guess I'd never stopped to question them in the past. And reading that, I was like, oh, are my goals my goals? The moment that I sat in contemplation to the question, I realized that what I was chasing, what I was going after, was actually not what I really wanted. But that was also a significant turning point too for me to actually move towards getting what I want. You know, and it keeps changing. It's like, our perception right now in this here moment of what we'd like next week or next month or next year is based on our perception right now and based on the experience we've had. Now, in a month's time, in a year's time, with time going by and with experiences happening, that perception changes. Like my goals and my ambitions now are very different to what they were 18 years ago when I started in business. They're very, very, very different. And I think it's good that we schedule time regularly to stop in and sit in that contemplation and go, okay, cool. Like, are my goals aligned with what I'd like? Are my goals aligned with what I'd like for myself and for my family and for my future? Are they making me happy? Am I enjoying the journey I'm on right now? If not, like, freaking change it.
Yeah.
Like, don't keep doing the same shit and then whinging and bitching and moaning and groaning and complaining to your partner that you're not enjoying life. Like, you have the opportunity to consciously create your future, but it starts with you consciously creating it and not just existing in the current realm of which you are right now.
And the other part, that's so true. And the other part of that same book is that he talks about being 100% responsible for your actions after something happens to you. So you talked about, instead of bitching and moaning, you go, I don't have the right customers, or I can't scale this, or if I only had some more money, whatever those stories are, the responsibility is, okay, I'm dealt this hand. Somebody might steal from your business. I know you had a huge epiphany in your business and were treated. You have your responsibility of how you react to that defines your next stage and how you come back from that. So love that book because there are so many lessons within that, not just the two we shared.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronan, how can the people that are watching today connect in with transform.io and see the amazing work that you guys are doing?
So the website is transform, TRNSFORM.io. We've got the A out of there. And also I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm just Ronan Leonard. You can find me on there as well.
Outstanding. We'll drop a link below as well. Mate, a question I'd like to ask everyone who's on the show is that, knowing what you know now and having been through all you've been through, if you were to have a conversation with a 10-year-old version of you, what advice would you give him?
It'll all work out in the end. That's all I'd say. That I think that we can't predict our future. Nobody can. So your ability to just kind of continue to improve, roll with the punches, as I said, how you handle adversity and how you handle everything that happens to you defines what you end up doing. So if I could tell a 10-year-old, he probably wouldn't listen. It's like, yeah, who's this old bald guy? He knows nothing. But as a 10-year-old, if it sunk in, I'd just say that it'll all work out.
Yeah, I love that. Outstanding. And if you haven't yet, grab a copy of my book, The Path to Freedom, the 9 Steps to Create a Highly Profitable Business That Works Without You. Pre-sales are on now to the 3rd of August with a bunch of fantastic bonuses. If you click on the link, Rafi put that below. The bonuses will stop on the 3rd of August, though. It's just for everyone that's watching the live stream series between now and then. So if you haven't, grab a copy now and also get a copy for your team too, so they can be on board with the journey for you. Building a business that works without you. Ronan, so grateful to have you on the show again, dude. It's been a little while, and looking forward to coming around for dinner again when COVID opens back up and I'm in Melbourne.
You are always welcome in my house, Barry.
Yeah, Ronan's wife makes the best, which just chatting before we went live, she makes the best buffalo cauliflower and vegan chicken that I've had in my life.
And then we had with the last mastermind dinner we ran, someone said this is the best. We did lemon tiramisu and just chocolate mousse that he'd ever had. So yes, I want to say we, yes.
Yeah. So if you ever get invited to Ronan's house, you won't walk away hungry. The conversation will be fantastic, and you'll have a great night. Thank you so much for everyone who's watched us from wherever you are in the world today. Make sure to hit the like button, let us know you're watching, and also start a watch party. Ronan, so grateful, dude.
Likewise, Barry. Thanks for having me on the show. Appreciate it. Great luck with the book and the launch. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, like if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost. If you get through, all that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forward and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world. And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the
years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session. Make sure you follow us on social and start to date with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William McGinnity. Thank you so much for your support and look forward to seeing the next one. Bye for now.